When I picked up my phone to scroll through Instagram that Tuesday afternoon, I had no idea my entire world was about to shatter. There, posted just 3 hours earlier, was a photo of my granddaughter Emma in her cap and gown, beaming at the camera, surrounded by everyone who mattered in her life. Her parents. Her boyfriend. Her roommate. Even her father's golfing buddy. Everyone except the one person who'd made it all possible. Me. The grandmother who'd sent her $2,000 every single month for 4 years. $96,000 of my retirement savings. Gone. And I wasn't even worth a text message to let me know she'd graduated. Hey everyone, welcome back to Maees Stories. I'm so glad you're here today, though I have to warn you, this story is going to hit differently. If you've ever felt taken for granted by the people you love most, if you've ever sacrificed everything only to be treated like you're invisible, then what I'm about to share is going to resonate with you on a level you might not be ready for. Before we dive in, if you're new here, welcome to our community. This is a safe space where we talk about real family dynamics, the kind that don't make it into greeting cards or holiday movies. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because we post stories like this every week. And to my returning viewers, thank you for being here. Your comments and stories keep this community strong. Alright, let's get into it. My name is Patricia Patterson. I'm 74 years old now, but this story begins when I was 70, living in a retirement community in Phoenix, Arizona. I'd moved there after my husband Frank passed away. We'd been married for 45 years, and he'd worked at Boeing for 4 decades, carefully building our retirement savings so we could enjoy our golden years together. We had plans. Ireland. Scotland. All the places we'd dreamed about. But Frank died 2 months before his retirement party, and suddenly all those plans meant nothing. My granddaughter Emma was my world after Frank died. She was my only son Richard's daughter, smart as a whip, beautiful, kind, or so I thought. When she got accepted to Harvard, I cried tears of joy. Harvard. My granddaughter was going to Harvard. Frank would have been so proud. But here's the thing about Harvard. It's expensive. Incredibly expensive. Even with her scholarships and financial aid, there were gaps. Big gaps. Rent in Cambridge. Textbooks that cost hundreds of dollars each. Food. Transportation. The little emergencies that always come up when you're a college student far from home. Richard, my son, he tried to help. But he and his wife Jennifer were already stretched thin with their mortgage and their own expenses. So when Emma called me, her voice small and worried, saying she didn't know how she'd manage, I didn't even hesitate. "Grandma," she said, "I don't want to be a burden. Maybe I should look for a cheaper school." "Absolutely not," I told her. "You're going to Harvard, sweetheart. I'll help you. That's what grandmothers are for." I set up an automatic transfer. $2,000 a month. Every month. From my retirement account to hers. It was a quarter of what I lived on, but I made it work. I cut back on everything. The dinners out with friends became less frequent. The hobby classes I'd wanted to take got postponed. The new car I needed? I kept driving my 13-year-old Honda with the broken air conditioning. In Phoenix. Where it gets to 115 degrees in summer. But every sacrifice felt worth it when Emma would call and tell me about her classes, her friends, her dreams. "Grandma, you're my angel," she'd say. "I couldn't do any of this without you." And I'd feel warm inside, knowing I was making a difference in her life. We talked every week for the first year. Then it became every other week. Then monthly. By her senior year, I was lucky if I heard from her once every 6 weeks. But I understood. She was busy. College is demanding. She had papers to write, exams to study for, a future to build. The money kept flowing, $2,000 like clockwork, and I told myself that was enough. That my support spoke louder than words. I'd been planning for her graduation for months. I bought a pale pink dress, spent $200 on it, which was a fortune for me at that point. I got new shoes. I had my hair done. I even looked into flights to Boston, trying to figure out which dates I'd need to book. But Emma never sent me the information. Every time I asked, she'd say, "Oh, Grandma, they haven't finalized the schedule yet, or I'll send it to you soon, I promise." I should have known something was wrong. Looking back, all the signs were there. But you don't want to believe that the child you've sacrificed everything for would exclude you from the most important day of their life. That Tuesday afternoon, scrolling through Instagram because Emma hadn't called in nearly a month and I was worried, I saw the photos. Multiple photos. Emma in her cap and gown. Emma with her parents. Emma with her roommate Keisha. Emma with her boyfriend Tyler, holding a bouquet of flowers. Emma with Jennifer's parents, her other grandparents, the ones who lived in Boston and had never contributed a dime to her education. The location tag said Harvard commencement. The date stamp said May 23rd. It was now June 12th. 20 days. 20 days since my granddaughter had graduated from Harvard, and I'd found out from Instagram. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. I must have stared at those photos for 20 minutes, zooming in on every face, looking for some explanation. Maybe I'd been there and just wasn't in these particular photos? But no. I would have remembered going to Boston. I would have remembered seeing Emma walk across that stage. I called her immediately. My fingers fumbled with the phone 3 times before I managed to dial correctly. She answered on the 4th ring, her voice bright and cheerful. "Grandma." "Hi. I was just about to call you." The lie came so easily to her. So smoothly. Like she'd practiced it. "Emma," I said, and my voice sounded strange to my own ears, tight and controlled. "I saw your graduation photos." Brief silence. Just a heartbeat of hesitation. Then, "Oh. Yeah. It was really last minute, Grandma. Super intimate. Just immediate family. Your boyfriend was there. Your roommate was there. Your father's golfing buddy was there. Grandma, it's complicated. Mom said you probably couldn't travel anyway because of your hip, and we didn't want you to feel bad about missing it." My hip. I walked 3 miles every single morning. My hip was fine. And the audacity, the absolute audacity of making that decision for me without even asking. "You never asked if I could come, Emma." Another pause. "Look, Grandma, it was just easier this way. You know how you and Mom don't always get along, and we didn't need the drama on my special day." Drama. I was drama. The woman who'd given her $96,000 over 4 years was too much drama to invite to graduation. "I don't understand," I said, even though I was beginning to understand perfectly. "Emma, I've sent you $2,000 every single month for 4 years. I paid for your rent. Your books. Your food. Your life. And I wasn't worth an invitation to see you graduate? Grandma, that's not fair. You know I appreciate everything you've done. Do you? Because appreciation usually involves some level of consideration. Some acknowledgement. Some basic human decency. You're being really dramatic right now." Dramatic. There was that word again. Wanting to be included in my granddaughter's major life event after funding it was dramatic. "Emma, I need you to answer a question honestly. Do you actually want a relationship with me? Or do you just want my bank account?" "Grandma, that's not fair. You're making this about money when it's not about money." "Then what is it about?" "It's about my life. My choices. My graduation. Not everything is about you. The words hit like slaps. Each one stinging. Each one revealing the truth I'd been avoiding for years. You're right, I said quietly. Not everything is about me. Apparently, nothing is about me. Including the education I paid for. I never asked you to pay for it. You offered. You're right. I did offer. Because I loved you and wanted to help. But Emma, I need to know something. Tell me one thing about my life right now. Not my bank balance. Something about me. Silence. Long, terrible silence. I know you live in Phoenix, she finally said. Where in Phoenix? What's the name of my retirement community? What hobby have I taken up since your grandfather died? What's my best friend's name here? When's my birthday, Emma? Nothing. She knew nothing about me because she'd never asked. For years of weekly calls, then bi-weekly, then monthly, and every single conversation had been about her. Her classes. Her stress. Her roommate drama. Her needs. I'd been a supporting character in the Emma show, valued only for my financial contributions. I need to go, I said. Wait, Grandma, about my new job. I'm moving to New York, and I need help with my security deposit. It's $4,000, and I was hoping. I hung up. For the first time in 4 years, I hung up on my granddaughter. And then I sat on my couch in my little Phoenix apartment and cried. Not gentle tears. Huge, ugly, sobbing tears for the grandmother I'd been and the granddaughter I'd never actually had. The next morning, I drove to my bank. Mr. Rodriguez had been processing my transfers to Emma for 4 years. He knew me well. Mrs. Patterson, he greeted me warmly. Another transfer to Emma? No, I said. I need to cancel the automatic transfers. All of them. And I want to open a new account that no one in my family knows about. His smile faded. Is everything all right? Everything is about to be. Within an hour, I had completely restructured my finances. New account. New passwords. Emergency contacts changed from my son Richard to my neighbor Gloria, who actually checked on me regularly and knew my birthday without needing Facebook to remind her. When I got home, my phone showed 14 missed calls. All from Emma, Richard, and Jennifer. The texts were predictable. Emma, Grandma, please call me back. I'm sorry if I upset you. Richard, Mom, Emma is very hurt by your behavior. What's going on? Jennifer, we need to talk about your mental state. Richard is worried. Mental state. Within hours of cutting off the money, I'd gone from generous grandmother to mentally unstable. Funny how that works. I made myself a cup of tea and sat with my neighbor Gloria, who'd seen the whole thing unfold. What are you going to do? She asked. I'm going to live my life. For me. For the first time in 4 years. And that's exactly what I did. I took the Ireland trip Frank and I had planned. I got the dental implants my dentist had been recommending. I fixed the roof on my storage unit. I bought a new car with working air conditioning. I joined a book club, took pottery classes, volunteered at the animal shelter twice a week. For the first time since Frank died, I felt like Patricia Patterson again. Not just Grandma the ATM. The calls continued for weeks. Richard tried guilt. Jennifer tried manipulation, even suggesting I needed cognitive testing. Emma swung between apologies and anger, sometimes in the same voicemail. But I held firm. And you know what I discovered? When you stop being useful, you find out who actually loves you and who just loved what you could provide. 6 months later, I got a handwritten letter from Emma. 8 pages. In it, she detailed everything. Her mother's coaching about how to ask me for money. Her father's pressure to keep grandma happy so she keeps helping. Her own rationalization that she'd pay me back when she was successful. She described her graduation day, how Jennifer had explicitly told her not to invite me because it would be awkward. How she'd gone along with it because it was easier than fighting. How her roommate Keisha had asked her 3 weeks after graduation, "Isn't your grandmother coming to help you move?" And when Emma said I couldn't make it, Keisha had looked at her with pure disgust and said, "Emma, your grandmother sent you $2,000 every month for 4 years and you didn't even invite her to graduation? What is wrong with you?" That question, from an outsider, had apparently broken through Emma's justifications. She'd started therapy. Started examining the family patterns of manipulation. Started seeing how she'd treated me. The letter ended, "I'm not asking for money or forgiveness or another chance right now. I'm asking if, 6 months from now, I could call you. Not to ask for anything. Just to talk. To learn about your life. To tell you about mine. To try to build something real." I sat with that letter for 2 weeks. Read it over and over. Analyzed every word for manipulation, for hidden agendas. But all I found was genuine remorse. I didn't respond immediately. I needed to trust that any change was permanent, not performative. I needed to protect myself. Eventually, I wrote back, "Emma, I appreciate your letter. But I'm not ready to resume contact. Perhaps in 6 months, as you suggested. Perhaps longer. Prove your change by living it. Not to me, to yourself. When and if I'm ready, I'll reach out." It's been a year since that letter. Emma sends cards on my birthday and holidays. Brief. Always asking about my life. Never requesting money. She sends photos of her volunteering, her therapy appointments, her life built on her own efforts. I haven't responded to most of them. But I save every card. Because maybe, someday, we'll build something real. Or maybe we won't. But either way, I'm okay. Because I finally learned the most important lesson: I don't need them to validate my worth. I spent $96,000 learning that love can't be bought. It was the most expensive and valuable education I ever received. So that's my story. The graduation I wasn't invited to. The granddaughter who saw me as a bank account. The family that valued my money more than my presence. And the grandmother who finally learned to value herself. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. I know this wasn't an easy story to hear. But here's what I want you to take away from this: if someone in your life only calls when they need something, believe what they're showing you. If you have to buy someone's love and attention, it's not real love. And if setting a boundary makes you the villain in someone's story, you were never the hero in their life to begin with. Drop a comment below and let me know, have you ever been in a situation where you realized someone only valued you for what you could give them? How did you handle it? This community is built on sharing our stories and supporting each other, so don't be shy. Your story might help someone else who's going through the same thing. If this story resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up. It helps other people who need to hear this message find it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Maees Stories and hit that notification bell. Every week, we share real stories about family dynamics, relationships, and the courage it takes to choose yourself. Next week, I'll be sharing another powerful story about boundaries and family betrayal. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Until then, remember, you are not selfish for protecting yourself. You are not cruel for expecting basic respect. And you are not a bad person for saying no to people who only see you as a resource. Take care of yourselves out there. I'll see you in the next video. This is Maees Stories, reminding you that your worth is not measured by what you give away. Bye for now.